Today we're going to be servicing the hydrostatic drive system on this 48-inch Exmark radius lawnmower. Some people service the hydrostatic system without jacking the mower up. I prefer to raise it up on a jack. That makes accessing the pumps a little easier. One of the first things I did when I decided to service this was I found this label on one side that says Hydro Gear. It's also got a serial number and a part number. So I called Hydro Drive to find out exactly what I needed to do to service it, and they pointed me to a kit that they have. When I called Hydro Gear and gave them the number off of the drive unit, this is the kit they said I needed. I don't remember exactly which one of these is my unit, but this is the kit that I needed. You have the pump, the fitting that screws into the hydro drive, one filter for each side, and 5 quarts of oil. Here's the way it looks underneath. You have the right side pump and the left side pump. Up there are 2 pulleys. Those pulleys feed a belt that's coming off of the crankshaft around and to each individual pump. So they operate independently of one another. They are identical, they're just mirror images of each other. Each one has a filter. The filter's underneath this plastic cover. It has 3 3/8-inch bolts in it. Next, I'm going to remove this filter. Make sure you have a pan under there big enough to hold about 2 quarts of oil. You'll let that drain out for a few minutes. Something else that I think helps the oil drain a little better is to remove the reservoir cap on the top side where you put the oil in. Now that that's finished draining, I'm going to go ahead and wipe that off a little bit and get a little bit of the oil out of the bucket here and smear on the ring of the new filter. That just makes it slick to where the seal will work really well. Now this is exactly like a car filter. You don't have to go super tight. I'm going to go and snug it up about a half a turn or so by hand. I'm going to wait to put the cover back on so I can check for any kind of leaks here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the filter on the right hand side. Again, these are 3/8-inch bolts. Ooh, a lot of junk built up around that filter. I'm going to remove the filter now. I've got the drain pan under it. And while we're letting that one drain, I'm going to go ahead and fill up the other side. The drain plug is right here. It happens to be pretty close behind this bar, so to make it easier to get to, I'm going to pull this pin out and move the bar out of my way. Then there's a 13/16 bolt So I'm going to do it with a socket and a wiggler. Wasn't very tight. It has a rubber O-ring on it too, so you don't want to lose that when you take the bolt out. Next, we screw this part in to that hole. This came with a kit. This don't have to be real tight. Then we take this. This is the pump. Has a tube on it. We're going to plug that tube onto the end of that. Then we open up one of the quarts of oil that came with the kit. We take the pump, make sure it's clean. And we take this tube that also came with the kit, put it into there. That goes into the bottle. And then we're going to pump 2 quarts. You have to unscrew this top out of the lid here, otherwise it won't pump. I mean, it's attached to it. It also says to remove the lid off of the reservoir, the overflow reservoir. Gives this room to go into the pump.
"20 minutes later."
Okay, after pumping 2 quarts of oil into this thing, it says to remove the hose, which is very tight, but I got it. Then you remove the white fitting. And we reinstall the plug. Making sure the O-ring is still on that plug. In the instructions, they say to torque that to 120 inch-pounds. If I get my torque wrench on there. 120 inch-pounds ain't a lot. I'm there already. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this bar back in with the pin. And we will test this for leaks after we do the other side. So do exactly the same thing on the other side, and then we'll be in the purging stage next. Okay, I want to go ahead and show on the right-hand side that the fill plug is much more difficult to get to. It's located right there, which puts it very close to the same rod I had on the other side, which is not a problem. But it's also close to this thing right here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a torque wrench on it. I'll snug it up pretty good, but let's see if I can even get it out. First, I'm going to try to remove this pin. That got me a little bit of room. I think I'm going to have to use an open-end wrench to get the thing out. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to it with a socket. Again, it's 11/16. Let's see if we can get this thing out. I guess if I had some ratcheting wrenches, it would work pretty well. But unfortunately, I don't. It's just tight enough that I can't get it with my fingertips. I'm hoping I can get the little white filler plug in there. Okay, that's out. Make sure you don't lose a little rubber O-ring. I'll put that back in place. Now then, let's see if we can get this plug into there. It's going to go, but boy, is it going to be tight. I'm not even sure it's going to go. Yeah, that's not going to go. Let me clean up some of the mess and come back. Okay, a little update here. In order to get this filler plug into that hole up there, I first had removed the grease zerk out of this part here. Then it was hitting the pulley like this I've removed. It was hitting the pulley that goes to this, this side drive. So I had to remove that pulley as well. Now then, this thing, hopefully I can get it on there. Let's see. It's still tight. And they don't tell you that in the instructions. So I've got it started now. I don't know if you can see, probably can't see because of my hand. But what a pain. All right, it's in there. And we're ready to pump oil into it. I'll be back after I get the oil in it. Okay, at this point I have everything back together. Again, you have to remove the grease zerk out of this. This part is the tensioner for the dry belt going to the pumps. You have to remove the grease zerk. I don't think you can see it's on the back side here. And you also have to remove this pulley in order to screw that white plastic fitting into that hole. Something to note is the kit comes with this white plug. This is the plug you use if you have an overflow reservoir. In some cases, you don't have an overflow reservoir, and this is the plug that comes with the kit. The purpose of it is that it allows a place for the air to vent as you're filling the units up. This one lets the air vent out of here. The other one, of course, lets the air vent out of the overflow reservoir. The next step is to purge the system of all the air. To do that, you have to pull the transaxle bypass valve open. On mine, you loosen up these bolts, pull these levers back. Okay, with those bypass valves opened, we're going to raise the thing up, get the wheels off the ground, and start the engine. And now with the unit lifted off the ground and both transaxle bypass valves opened and the overflow reservoir filled to the cold level, we'll start it up, move the levers full forward and full back slowly to purge the air out. Now we're going to close the transaxle bypass valves and run it again. We're going to run it through the forward and reverse motion 5 or 6 times. Checking the reservoir, I see we're still up to the full cold level, a little bit below where I put it earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and top it on off. Back up to the full cold. Put the lid back on the reservoir and run it again. Let's let it down and take it for a spin. Reservoir is still good, got plenty of oil.